It's been nearly 18 months we've been keeping track, and Hillary Clinton's blame train is not even close to running out of fuel. It's getting concerning. Well, speaking on Tuesday night at The Wing, which is a women-only club in New York, which because it's women-only is not sexist, Clinton began blaming everybody to the NRA, to misogyny itself, for her defeat in the 2016 election. Here's part of it.
Before the Comey letter, I was ahead. I got more votes than anybody in history except one term of President Obama. Every day that goes by, more evidence, more proof about fake news and the Russians and Cambridge Analytica and misogyny and sexism. I've taken on the NRA for years, and they spent more money against me than they've ever spent against anybody. And now we know the Russians paid for some of it, paid for actors or Russian agents, personnel, to dress up in those very attractive jail outfits and go around in a mock jail while people could yell, "Lock her up."
We know who's on MSNBC's website at midnight every night. It's not a political speech. That was more like group therapy. And honestly, the easy thing would be to make fun of Hillary Clinton. Ooh, she's so wrong. But it's past that. This is sad. Will anyone help her? She's crying out for. Where are her friends, her husband, the DNC? It's like watching someone you know fall apart. It's poignant and tragic, and someone ought to help. Tammy Bruce is a radio host, and she joins us tonight.
Momentous evening at the Wing, for the Wing itself, for our members, for me. I was an intern on Secretary Clinton's 2008 campaign, and I think that if I had known then when I was 21 that a space like the Wing would have existed, that I would have played some part in its creation, and that she would be sitting here across from me today, I think I would have needed some smelling salts. So we are just very, very excited to welcome the newest member of our coven. The glass ceiling breaker, Hillary Clinton. One more round of applause. The conversation that we're going to have tonight came from a lot of the questions that you Wing women submitted, and we're so lucky to have friend of the Wing, friend of mine, Aminatu So, the co-host of Call Your Girlfriend, and just an all-around great human being. So just want to welcome you and thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm so happy I'm here because some of you know I was originally going to come when we had the last blizzard. And you'll notice I have boots on because I live in Westchester County and wading through the snow, but I was determined to get here and to be part of this evening, and I'm really looking forward to talking with Audrey and Irina and all of you. And I just have to say, I am so proud of the Wing. It is so cool. And it's and I just heard that there's going to be the West Wing. From LA to Seattle and San Francisco. I think it's great. So yeah, what a treat. And I can't be happier to be here with you and just see where the conversation goes. I have no idea what they're going to ask me. They have no idea what to say. So, and it's true.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I can't believe this is happening. I'm having an out-of-body experience. I don't know about the rest of you. Somebody from the Wing wants to know, how is India? How are you doing?
How many of you have been to India? Okay, so it's an amazing place to visit, and I've been there often, but usually to go to meetings, to give speeches, kind of formal occasions. And so this time I gave a speech in Mumbai and then met up with a really good friend of mine who has been going to India for literally 40 years because she had a clothing business. Any of you ever hear of a spree? That was before your time. But she started it, and she would travel to India to get good fabric and meet artisans. And so she showed me parts of India that I've never seen before, and I just loved it. I love the beauty. I love the whole aesthetic and some of the places that we visited that were archaeological sites and ancient forts. It just could not have been a better trip, even though I did fall. And yeah, I wrecked my wrist. But it was worth it. I mean, really, I have 2 of them.
What's giving you hope right now?
Oh boy. Well, all of you are. It won't surprise you to hear me say that I think we are in a really bad spot because I don't understand exactly how what is happening is going to better prepare us for the future. It just seems like we're off on tangents. It's very unpredictable, unstable. As I have traveled around the world, talking and making speeches and meeting with people, there's a lot of confusion and concern about what's happening in our country. On the other hand, I'm fundamentally an optimist because I think we have an enormous number of strengths. Our diversity is one of our strengths. Our dynamism, the opportunities that people are making for themselves. And it's so much about young people and your determination to create new businesses, create new products, create new artistic venues, whatever it may be that gets you up in the morning. That's what will enable us to get through these pretty difficult times. And so I am fundamentally optimistic. Doesn't mean I don't wake up every day going, oh, what next? It's even worse than I thought it was going to be, and I thought it was going to be bad. So I do have to kind of keep my own spirits up, and a lot of my friends and others who I know are great at doing that. But you know, we just have to see this through. And I will add, this is not a partisan comment, but please vote in the midterm election.
We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit. This is a question that came from a member, Kathleen Casey. She's a member here and a teacher with Future America. She said, as an educator in the Bronx, what would you suggest I do to help motivate my students and motivate myself to make change if our current president is giving us reasons every day to give up hope?
It's a great question. Number one, thanks for teaching. And number two, thanks for thinking about how to motivate students. There is a lot that we can do, but we have to apply what we know and what works in every classroom and every school with every group and kind of kid. So I started my day today meeting with people who I helped back when I was a senator to start something called the Eagle Academy. And there are 6 Eagle Academies, one in each borough, one in Newark, and their mission is to educate and put on a college track young men of color. And so I was there to get an update about how it's going. And they've made incredible progress, but nobody knows about it. And so part of what we have to do a better job is supporting teachers who are making a commitment to their students, supporting those schools that are not just 9 to 3 operations, but they are adding programs in the afternoons and on Saturdays, and they're reaching out to parents, and they're finding ways to get young people motivated because those young people feel like somebody cares about them and somebody believes in them. So what I would suggest is, talk to experienced teachers, and Teach for America has great resources for you to use, and really dive deep into what it will take to light that fire with more of your kids. And recognize that a lot of them face difficulties and barriers that we can't really imagine in many instances. But it is that spark, and it is that champion that every child needs. It doesn't have to necessarily be a member of the family. It can be a teacher, or a coach, or a neighbor, or an employer. It can be somebody who basically says to this young person, you are valuable, I see you, I hear you, I'm in your corner. Now you have to do your part, but I'll be there with you every step of the way. And that message is really powerful. So we just need to do more of that and try to get more kids to believe in themselves and to get the tools they need to be successful.
I want to go back to the midterm. I know that I have been training for it. Just, it's like we're working out every day, we're calling our senators, we're staying healthy, we're obnoxious and getting everybody to vote. But I was curious, do you have any specific goals for the midterm? Are there any candidates that you're keeping an eye on, or races that you think that are key?
Yeah. Well, my goal is to take back the House and the Senate. That's doable, but I am not going to understate how hard it will be. But there are enough people running in enough districts across the country that we can see our path toward actually taking the House back. I started a group after the election called Onward Together, which is a mechanism for funding a lot of the grassroots groups that sprang up after the election. People who said, I'm not going to just give up. I'm going to really try to get motivated. So one, for example, Amanda Littman, some of you may know of, she started something called Run for Something. And it was just her and another young man who worked on my campaign. They started doing it. They got on social media. They began talking about it. And they were stunned by the response they got of people saying, I never thought about running for something, but can you help me figure it out? And that's what they're doing. And I have about a dozen of these groups that are trying to win back the House, win back state legislatures, which is going to be important for what's called redistricting in 2020, assuming we have a census that actually counts people. So I think that our chances are better than 50-50 by a little, not a lot. And I'll give you one kind of factoid. I won 23 districts across the country where there is a Republican member of Congress. 7 in California, 3 in Texas, in Florida, in New Jersey, in Illinois, places where if we really zero in on them, we will win seats. And we only have to win 24 seats to take back the House. The Senate is more difficult, and it's more difficult because we have many more Democrats having to run than Republicans this time. It's just every 2 years, a third of the Senate turns over. But I'm actually optimistic as well that so far we're doing better than anybody would have expected in a lot of these Senate races, and there's some good candidates. A woman's running in Nevada. We'll end up with at least one woman, we hope, running in Arizona. So not just defending the seats we have, but trying to expand the number that we have. So I'm really hopeful, but I'm leaving nothing to chance, and we're going to work very, very hard. And there are a lot of great candidates out there, and there'll be time to talk about individual candidates. But one of the reasons I started this group was to focus on people who are going to just burrow in and do everything they can to try to win the House and preserve the Senate. So I think it's a worthy effort. So stay in shape. Stay
To that point, what can the women in this room who are highly motivated and vocal and frankly angry do to support these organizations?
There's a lot.